Well, my name is Frederick George Jackson. I go by George Jackson. We are in the Centro de Arte Sampedrano in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. And I come from Canada, from a small village south of the capital called Iroquois in the province of Ontario. I am here to try and make life better for some people in Honduras. Well, this was back in 1976, I believe, when I first let it be known to the group in Canada that I was interested in being a volunteer. And they sent me to Costa Rica to look at a project and to help with efficiency in their sawmilling operations. And then I went to Haiti on a project with CARE to analyze and audit a project they had with community centers. And then I went back again to Costa Rica to work in an orphanage after I decided that children were the best thing to help. And from Costa Rica, the government asked me to go to Tela in Honduras, here in Honduras, and analyze a children's project they had and tried to make it self-sufficient. That was in sometime around 1988. But I didn't like living in Tela. There was nothing to do, and as much as I love being a volunteer, one still has to live, so I came to San Pedro to look for something to do and found there was a great need among single mothers for work, and decided that I would try to do something to help single mothers. As a result, I built a small factory making jewelry boxes and ornamental bags for high-class stores, using labor from the poor barrios. And consequently, I built a factory right next to the barriers so the women could come to work without spending 40% of their pay on transportation. And then I built a hospital, and I built a clinic, and I built a rural school, and did a few things. And in one of the orphanages that I was working at, we decided to start a choir so the children would have something to do. And it invited the neighbors' kids in so the children would try to get some friendship going among them and the neighbors. And one thing led to the other, and finally we ended up with a small theater. Well, to go way back in the history of this, I went to a convention one time, and at the dinner, a man who was speaking about technology transfer in business. And I was interested, and I talked to him after the meeting, and consequently led to me being a volunteer consultant in various countries as a businessman. But I realized that I was just helping the rich get richer. And every time I made an efficiency improvement in a factory, it meant somebody's job. And meantime, I'm seeing all these children that don't have shoes and aren't going to school, and I decided that if I was going to do volunteer work, it would have to be with children. Well, as I mentioned, the choir became famous in its own right. The children were having a great time singing, and we were doing presentations in shopping malls and churches. And we decided that we needed to liven the choir up to make it more of an interesting presentation. So we started to incorporate movements, which led to dance. And then we needed a place to practice, and I had a part of a factory that I had that we could use as a practice area. So in that area, we built a small theater with 65 seats. And it was quite a success, but 65 seats wasn't enough, and we needed more space because more children were coming and wanted to participate. So in 2006, we decided to build a real theater that we could do aerial work in it, and we could accommodate more people, and we could give more classes and have classrooms. So we decided to build this one. And here we now have classrooms. We have 120 seats for shows and presentations, And the other theater we still use as a practice theater and for very small events. The theater is small, but it's compact. It has everything that any large theater would have in the way of electronic equipment, with lights, with sound, with smoke, we have flying gear upstairs where the children can be flown across the stage, and it's a real theater, and the advantage of it is the children become involved in the electrical part with the lighting. They become involved with the selling of sponsors. They become involved in printing of programs, and they just do everything. It's not just sing and dance and play. They become little mini businessmen, and I'm sort of just their guide, and I let them do their things. And now some of my students who have been with me for a long time are teachers, and they are teaching here in the afternoon, and they teach in regular schools in the morning. And I've watched some of my kids go on to do other things because they've been interested, and I'm sure that the arts develops the brain. I have a couple of children in university in the medical field. One is a doctor and the other is going to be a nurse. I have one studying to be an odontist, and another one going in to study civil engineering. And now it's beautiful that I can see some of the results of looking after these children that normally wouldn't have had the opportunity in Honduras. Well, I'm not very close to my family. I see my daughter, who lives in Toronto, 2 or 3 times a year, and my son, with a couple of associates, took over my business in Canada, and he is running that and doing quite well. And my wife is a wonderful person. She is a Dutch lady who immigrated to Canada, and she loves Canada. She came here 2 or 3 times, and in the beginning she used to come a lot, but the food and the danger and people carrying guns and just the life she doesn't like in a developed country. But she does a lot of work at home getting sponsors for some of the children, and when we take children to Canada for education, she looks after getting them a place to stay, and she looks after them while they're in Canada. So my family is, even though they're far away from me, we're pretty close in how we think and what we do together. The life for me is great in Honduras. It's dangerous here, they tell me, but I haven't run into any danger. I've been robbed a couple of times, but that's just petty crime. I have lost some good friends to more violent crimes. But I'm happy here. I like the food, I like the climate. I had enough years of the cold winter in Canada, and I'm quite content because of my work. I just live for these children because I see them growing up, and I see them developing, and they're children who just wouldn't have the opportunity that I had coming from a developed country. And so giving them this opportunity is my occupation. I don't want to say it's my work. There's not too many things I don't like. I don't like the way the Honduran people treat their country or other Hondurans, but there's so little I can do about it. So I accept life the way it is. Well, men are hard on their women here. It's a very macho type society. Education doesn't have much importance in the family because of absolute ignorance by some of the people. I get upset when I see people becoming accommodated by poverty. They're born into poverty, and they accept that this is what their life is going to be, and they're content to stay that way, and that sort of bothers me that they don't make a better attempt to get out of it, but the parents are just so uneducated that they don't realize the value of it. Well, is when I go to the graduation of the children when they're finishing their education, and I see them getting their diploma. And when I watch a presentation here in the center, and I see them dance and sing and do things, in an orderly manner, and I see them so happy. Sometimes it brings tears to my eyes. I am so happy to see it. Very few times in my life have I felt unhappy, because I've had such a good life, and I'm having such a good life that really I haven't been unhappy. I wasted a lot of my life because I abused alcohol for a few years when I was younger, and I'm unhappy about that. But generally I'm pretty happy with my life and haven't had very many sad moments. My parents died young. That was sad, but something that you have to accept. Well, that I have enough years to do a little bit more of this work would make me very happy. I know it has to come to an end, and I'm preparing for that, but just the only wish I would have in life is that I could keep doing this more, or that I would win the lottery and then I could really do a lot more. Yes, if I could be born again with the experience I have now, I would stay away from alcohol. I would save a little bit more money instead of spending it foolishly, and but not much more that I would change. I'm pretty content the way I am. I've learned that, or I find that giving is so much better than receiving, and it makes me so happy to give things to people and to see them happy receiving. And it's even better when I can give something to somebody and they don't know that I did it. And you watch their reaction and they wonder where this came from, and this is really the ultimate of pleasure. I believe in the Big Bang Theory. I believe that we're here because of evolution, and I am really a profound atheist because I've seen the damage that religion has done to the world. Well, when it's over, and that's all there is to it. So we have to do what we're going to do in this universe while we're here. That's my perception of it. Yes, I would like them to play it forward. Most people who are going to see this exhibition are people who have done well. They're educated and don't realize and haven't tasted what it's like to do something for somebody else in a really sincere way. And I would like to see more of that. That's what makes me such a profound humanist.